much. So nice to see so many of you. By applause, did you enjoy the movie you just saw? Would you like to meet the man who made the movie? He's made a couple of movies you may have heard of. Anybody see a movie called Bridesmaids? Anybody see a movie called Spy? Here's the director of Ghostbusters, Feig. So I guess I'll start off a little bit. Congratulations to you, Paul.
Thank you.
And I've been to this theater many times, but I did not know there's a top secret green room at the very top, and there's a couple of seats. So I saw the movie happily about 2 weeks ago, and Paul, I assume you've seen the movie about 180 times.
A few times, yes.
But we had an opportunity to have the last 15 minutes or so watching the film and watching all these people watching. What was that like for you?
I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, honestly, the only reason I make movies is to entertain an audience. And, you know, there's so much speculation and thought and passion that goes into the pre-release of a movie. But at the end of the day, this is what it's all about. It's all about getting people in a room for just under 2 hours and hopefully entertaining you. So,
And one thing you said to me before is that, and I think particularly in something like this, the casting is so unbelievably important. And I think we all play, you know, amateur, not detective necessarily, but we try to figure out the puzzle pieces. You obviously have this wonderful established relationship with Melissa McCarthy. You worked very successfully with Kristen Wiig. Did you start from scratch, or you were like, I gotta have her, I gotta have her?
No, I mean, we really started from scratch. I mean, when I took this project on, I did not take it lightly. I turned it down a couple of times because it's terrifying. It's like remaking The Godfather, really. And just thought, when I decided to take it on, it was really like, okay, first of all, we just gotta make a great script. We have to make it our own and do our own thing, because we didn't want to copy the original, but we wanted to, you know, pay homage to it. But then you go like, okay, what are the things we would miss? So we very quickly go like, okay, well, we would miss the proton packs and the Ecto-1, the Slimer, and all that stuff. But then Katie Dimple and I, who wrote the script, yes, the amazing Katie Dimple, by the way, basically said, okay, now we got to create it. So it was like, should we cast it first? It's like, no, let's like figure out who the characters are and figure out how they can serve a story, get 4 unique personalities, and then we'll cast it. But you know, obviously, people are always in her head, and I know that Katie really had Kristen in her head when she was writing the Erin role, and then ironically she had Melissa in her head when she was writing the Patty role, which Leslie Jones ended up playing. But as we were working through it, I thought, like, you know what? I think actually Melissa, having just done Spy with her and the way that she played so kind of a little more low key, I like the idea of kind of slipping her into somewhere in the middle for what she's done before. And the Patty role felt like it might be a little too much like the Heat. And when I met Leslie Jones, it was like, oh my God, she's so perfect for this. But we really wrote the script first, and then I had to figure out who were the 4 personalities who would fit this the best and not overlap. And honestly, the first person I guessed was, in my brain, was Kate McKinnon, the amazing Kate McKinnon. We all agree it's stars before, that's true. So, and then I just kind of, so I go, okay, oh, I found my weirdo. Now I'm going to build the rest of my cast around her.
And you didn't call Kate McKinnon and say, I found my weirdo.
Well, I kind of did, really. She's a self-professed weirdo. I had her come in, because right when we were finishing the script, I read some interview where she said her dream in life was to be Ghostbusters. I was like, oh my God, I love Kate, because I knew her personally from SNL and friends of mine. And called her in for a meeting, and just like, she was so funny. She was just like, I was like, well, you're going to put you in something, how would you play? She goes, I was going to play characters, kind of, she like, puts her foot up on the desk and sitting like this, and like going to harass men and women at the same time. And I was just like, okay, well, she's in. she's just, I mean, she is the greatest, and literally the nicest person you've ever met in your life.
A lot has been made about the quote-unquote gender reboot, that whole thing. And as you were sitting there writing, was that an immediate decision then?
Well, honestly, that's how I decided I wanted to do it, because they've been approaching me and I was just like, how do you remake this classic thing? And I just finally went like, okay, well, why did the first one work so well? Because you look at it, look, obviously, the idea is amazing. Funny people fighting the paranormal with technology is a great idea. But at the same time, you go like, oh, why did it really work? That movie would have been fine, except for that cast. That's what made it. Those were the funniest people, funniest kind of people. Bill and Dan and Harold. I was such a fan of Harold's from the very first season of SCTV when it was like Second City TV, and he was playing Old Muley, the host of the cartoon show. Everybody here remembers that. You're as old as I am. But okay, I gotta get my dream team, and so it's like, weirdly, it was the last thing I thought of, because here's why I understand why there is consternation from people about this. The original Ghostbusters is a very male-driven movie, to the point where I was like, I gotta find funny guys. I was just like, wait, they're gonna be compared to Bill or Dan and Harold. And so it's like, wait a minute, I work with the funniest women on the planet. I know them. I put them in this. That gives me energy for this. Then I know how to do this. And if I can reboot it, because it's been over almost 30 years, and there's only kind of 2 original Ghostbusters left because Bill was never going to do it. And I also didn't like the idea of, okay, well, here Ghostbusters, here's all your equipment. There's been 2 giant ghost attacks on the city, go ahead. Versus like, we can do an origin story and see this stuff evolve and see where they come from, and see this new team where all new personalities form. That's what I had the energy for. That's when it was like, okay, let's get these amazingly funny women that we know.
All right, here's an audience question of sorts, and maybe by applause. How many people saw the original Ghostbusters in a movie theater? And how many people discovered it later on video or DVD or see, I think that's so interesting, because I'm sure some people thought, well, everybody knows the title,
yeah,
but people don't really know it. But I can tell by your reaction to it, people know it.
Oh no, it's so beloved. I mean, my relationship with it is so personal, because I was in film school at the time at USC, and this came out, and this was before the internet, when you knew nothing about a movie before we went to see it. So one trailer, and they were always kind of, very primitive, just because the movie wasn't finished at that point. So my friends and I went and sat in this theater, and this thing started up, and it blew my mind. I mean, the audience went crazy because we'd never seen anything. There never really been, I can't think of one, I don't know if you can, Sam, other than maybe 1941, which was kind of a bigger action comedy, but really, there had never been a comedy that had like effects, like special effects, and giant scope, and all this big stuff. And we have to evacuate.
That's a special effect.
There it is, exactly, that's why.
Is that somebody's cell phone?
It's happening. Should I talk to her?
We'll look to the management to be directed.
We're good. We got a thumbs up. So pretend there's not that really annoying sound happening, and there's only the annoying sound of my voice. But you never see anything like that. So that was the moment where I go like, wow, you can actually, like, comedy can be big. Comedy can be giant stakes and giant production values. And it really stuck with me. And I remember thinking, if I could only make a movie like that, then here we are 30 years later, and I made that exact movie. So. A trail forged by the amazing Ivan Reitman, who was the producer on this. So Ivan is the man.
A quick sentimental note about where we are right now. I was told a story that what really turned you on to film initially was something happening literally in this very theater.
I was in this theater, right kind of in that middle section, about halfway up. We came to see the very first showing of Raiders of the Lost Ark when it opened. And again, another moment when I was like, I'd never seen anything like, literally, when that boulder first came down, it's a cliched shot now, we've seen it, everyone knows it. The first time any of us had seen that, the audience literally lifted out of their seat. I'd never seen a moment when like an audience jumped up and they were like screaming, and that was the thing. So I'd seen that, it's like, oh, you can make a movie like that. And then 3 years later when Ghostbusters came out, it's like, oh, and you can do something on top of it. Yeah, unbelievable. But I mean, just to be in this theater and to have people, amazing people watching this movie that I got to direct in this, I mean, this is the most hallowed house for movies in the world. So it's really, thank you for being part of it.
number, it can never be found, you can only get a script by carrier pigeon. So when they called you the first time and you said no, what was the trepidation? Why'd you say no?
It was just that feeling, like I described earlier, that it was a really fun script. I know the writers. There was 2 different scripts that were sequel scripts that kind of tried to account that Bill had said he would only do it if he was killed and was a ghost. And friends of mine wrote that. It was funny, but it was bananas. And then the one I got was where Bill just wasn't going to be in it at all. But it was, you know what it was? It was, I had a hard time with the idea of thinking like, here's a new team, but they can't form fully. They have to be trained by the old Ghostbusters, which would be Dan and Ernie, which is great, but that's still half the team. And they're just going to be kind of handed stuff. And I want to establish a group of people who are underdogs, who believe what they believe. I mean, really, if you look at this movie, it's about belief in stuff that other people think you're crazy for. It's about desperation for validation and whether that makes you better or not. You know, because Kristen's character obviously is just desperate to have people realize that she's not crazy, and Abby's character doesn't care. She just believes in something she's never seen. And that I understand, because all I really do, if you look at Freaks and Geeks On, is stories about underdogs. I just love underdogs. I love cheap good for applause, I just made. Who here's from California? I don't like that. Fresno, anyone from Fresno? But that felt to me like, then I can have this group of people become this super group. And the fact that I was going to use these amazing, you know, women who were so great, it's like, I want them to plant their flag. I want them to be able to be these heroes. Because it's just, I don't know, I just felt like now it's been almost kind of 2 generations since that one. Let's let a new generation have their own heroes. Because those ones, I weirdly felt, with all the weirdness that happened on the internet, whether you're aware of that or not, was I actually thought this was sort of the most respectful way to do it, because those first 2 are so great. Like, let's almost not back tape them if I screwed this up and go like, those are here, then here's these. And so whether it enters the universe, it's still, those are great on their own, and now here's ours, and it'll live or die in its own merits.
You made this reference to a new start, which I think you very much succeeded in, and this homage, which you very much succeeded in. To get the surviving originals back, was that a wild goose chase, or easy to do, or?
No, they were all so amazingly supportive. Every single person was amazingly supportive. And the weird thing was, since Bill had not wanted to do the sequel for so long, he was the very first person. I mean, I think a week after I, on Twitter, said I was going to do this with Funny Women that read for Katie, he was the first one to have an interview where he said, I think it's a great idea, you should cast Melissa and Kristen. And so, from top to bottom, everyone was supportive, everyone wanted to be in it. And, the only thing with Bill is, he says he's supportive, but then to get him to the set is a terrifying thing. I mean, literally, we knew he was interested, but, up until 2 days before he showed up, and even then, it was kind of like, we don't know if he's going to show up because they won't confirm him. So it's like, we're getting so close, I was like, we got to get somebody to play this role, and I want somebody with a name. It was like, how do you hire like John Hamm and go like, John, you're going to do this role, but if Bill Murray shows up, you're fired. So at one point, because I was an actor before, I was like, well, if he doesn't show up, I'll play the role. So it was like, so that made it extra important that he got there, because like, God only knows no one wants to see me playing that role. So, but he showed up, and he's the greatest guy. And when he walked on the set, that was the first time in my kind of history of making movies, because movies are just, they seem kind of so cool when you're watching them. They seem like it's kind of an epic thing, but when you're making it, it's just like a bunch of people sitting around making each other laugh. And it never feels that, kind of important to me. But when he came on the set of Ghostbusters, it was so kind of historic for those of us comedy nerds.
Well, Melissa told the story, and these things obviously are shot out of sequence as well. She said the first time all 4 suited up, and that it was, she felt it, she knew the other women felt it, she knew the crew felt it.
It was crazy. I mean, because they're all superstars in their own rights, I didn't audition anybody, and I didn't have anybody read together. So it was kind of like, well, we're going to start this movie, and about a day before, it's like, let's do the camera test where you put them on camera and you can put them in different costumes and see how it looks on film. That was something I go like, oh gosh, I hope they all get along. And I hope they have chemistry, because I know Chris and Melissa do, and I know that Kate and Leslie love each other, but beyond that, who knows? But they came out, they were individually doing their costumes, and I said like, oh, let's get them all out in their uniforms to see how they look together. And as they're coming out, it's like, here it is, it's the moment of truth. And they got in front of that camera. I was like, just turn to your left, turn to your right. And they started dancing. They did a kick line and a chorus line. They were making each other laugh. They were clowning around. And beyond just the fact that, oh my God, they're Ghostbusters, for me, it was just like, oh my God, they have so much chemistry. I just turned around, my assistant director's like, okay, we're in. My job is much easier now.
Do you breathe a sigh of relief then, or now? Saw how well it played?
Only now, and even now I don't, because it's only Friday night. We don't know. I can still be drugged out of the business, which some people know.
This is something I think people don't necessarily appreciate, because we look at the movie you made that we all saw tonight, and the movies you've made. You're not going to be drummed out of the business, but people harbor that fear, don't they?
Well, oh yeah, I could easily be drummed out of the business. It's a thing called movie jail, which you go in and out of, and I was deep in it for a while. Some of my Opus unaccompanied minors. That's.
I love that.
I love that, exactly. Well, that locked the door. Oh, thank you so much. God bless you, man. But no, look, you always just. This movie costs a lot more money than any of my other movies, so there's a definite pressure on there. But and plus on top of all the crazy controversy we had, that just sort of dogged us. And again, look, it's fine. People are passionate about this project. They're passionate about this franchise, I should say. And I completely understand that. That's great. And but you just want to be able to live and die on your own. So.
What Paul's saying is, please tell your friends you enjoyed tonight.
I would never say that.
I always think this is an interesting kind of show business aspect of this whole thing. So how are you going to be informed? Throughout the weekend, is somebody going to call you every or send you a text every 20 minutes like, Duluth, it's sold out?
Yeah. I like twice a day, it'd kind of be like, oh, let's look at this, look at that. But there's just no way to know. The weird thing is, I get very show busy with you, there's a thing in the business called comps, which means there's movies that are similar to yours, and so they go like, oh, well, this movie that's very much like yours did this by this point, so you either need to be better than this or not as good as this. This is when literally the studio said, there's no comps on this movie. Because think about it, like a big tentpole, special effects driven comedy, I mean, other than like Men in Black, really, I mean, there haven't been that many made, because comedy tends to be either small, not small, but I mean just more wordy, yeah, exactly, wordy and lower stakes, quote unquote, than this. And yeah, so we don't know. I mean, honestly, we could be here, we could be there, but it's been very good so far, and because of people like yourselves who came out to see this. I really appreciate. If I may just say one thing. Thank you so much for supporting this, and for also seeing beyond woman, man, because it's just like, these are more of the funniest human beings I know. That's all it's about.
So we've talked about this bigger path, and it's a bigger budget, and more opportunities to do more stuff, and better catering, I imagine.
The Oreos were fantastic.
So there's more pressure, but is it more fun? Because, I mean, to play with all the, I think all of us will be like, wow, I can make it green, or I can make it this, or...
Oh, I mean, God, I'm a kid in a candy store. I'm such a sci-fi nerd. I mean, I always wanted to do special effects, and the most special effects I ever did were in Spy, but that's more practical. You get wires on everybody, you're making stuff blow up and all that, but that's a real life thing. This is creating something out of nothing. But at the same time, I wanted to make sure that I didn't have my actors acting with tennis balls. I didn't want all the the ghosts to just be sort of, okay, look over there and it's scary. So I cast any ghost that's not human, that's not like a concert ghost or Slimer, is played by a real person. you know, Gertrude Aldridge at the beginning. That's Bess Rouse, who was this amazing actress who was in my Yahoo series, Other Space. And then Dave, if you're a Freaks and Geeks fan, the subway ghost is Dave Gruber Allen, who was Mr. Rosso on Freaks and Geeks, yes, who now has a crazy long beard. So he was like, okay, you're gonna be the guy. And then that whole stunt scene in the Times Square, that was a complete stunt team who were really doing that and killing themselves doing that. Because I just want that realism. I like in camera, but today, at the same time, you need to be able to augment so you make it look real. But Slimer, on set, was an actual puppet. It was a completely fully articulated puppet built by, if any of you are really into Ghostbusters lore, Rick Lazzarini, who, the amazing Rick Lazzarini, who built a lot of the puppets for the original Ghostbusters movies. And he made a Slimer, fully articulated Slimer that we had on the set, so he could act with my actresses. And then, but then when we got it in post, it just felt like we could make him a little more, give him a little more personality by doing what we did with the CG. But you know, it's amazing. But you can't, when you make a giant movie, the way I make comedies, I still make it's about a lot of improv and you know, just looseness. And even though the budget is gigantic, you have to go like, don't think about that. Let's just have fun the way that we have fun in all our movies, and then just sort it out in post.
For all of you who stayed till the very end, we saw that reference to Zoom, which some people would interpret that could indicate you would reunite this team again.
Well, I'll say it like this. Melissa McCarthy put it the best last week when she said, when you're in the delivery room and the baby's about halfway out and you're pushing as hard as you can, you don't go like, I think I can have another baby right now. So we're going to see how this one does, but I mean, what a super group, and it would be an honor to do anything with them again.
You know what, if anybody in the audience has an incredibly compelling question for Paul, why don't you come to the center and come near this camera? So we'll let you guys assemble, and while anybody wants to do that, come on down, feel free.
While you do, I'll sing the Ghostbusters.
But I'll ask you this, have you thought of your next thing, and I don't know why I did this, would it inherently be smaller?
No, not necessarily. I love doing the big stuff. So I don't know what it is. My next project is me going on vacation for a week.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Tell us your name.
Hi, my name is Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
Really nerve-wracking coming down here.
I know exactly.
It's our Price is Right version.
You're in the Chinese Theater. Everything's premiered here for the last 100 years.
First and foremost, I just want to say I could not adore these four beautiful, masterful, funny women anymore, and I think I do now just from seeing this. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Jeff. Thank you.
And secondly, I just want to say I don't think I felt this much joy and just giddy gleefulness in a theatrical experience in a long, long time.
Thanks,
so I know this is a tough weekend, and I hope you get to experience that, knowing that across America, across the world, people are feeling like I feel right now. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
I do improv, and I'm curious about how much, because these are all improvisers, how much on set was improvised, and maybe if you have a story from set that you could share with us, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. No, we do a lot of improv. I mean, you know, look, whenever I'm doing a movie like, you know, Katie and I together on this one, you kill us. You make sure that script is great, that you can show up on the set, and if they just read those lines, you'll have something great. But my theory is, you know, it takes forever to write a movie, get it set up, prep it, get the money for it, blah, 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 blah. When you get to that set, then they go, okay, we got a half hour to shoot this, and let's say the lines that they are, and let's go. That's the biggest waste in the world, because you've got these amazingly creative, talented people. That's what we play. Because then when you see people talking and doing the lines, and suddenly you see like, oh my gosh, their interaction, the way that she responded to her, and she, you know, kind of had this weird reaction. Then we start playing. Katie Dibble's with me the whole time. She's writing jokes and handing them to me, and I'm writing jokes, and then the cast is like, try it. Because all I can't have a scene become chaos, but I know I have to get from point A to point B. You know, I need to tell this story, get this emotion out. But how we get there, that's what we play. We do it a million different ways, and then we get back to the editing and sort it out. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Giorgio. Thanks for letting me ask this question. I wanted to know why, like differently from the first movies, the old movies. You decided to, this time towards the ending, throw a character into almost another dimension, into the vortex.
Yeah, it was, you know what it was? It was, we originally that wasn't going to be in there, and then it was this feeling of, it was incomplete without going in there. And we originally had it where just Erin was going to jump in after her, and then we'd go like, oh no, she's going to come out, and then we'd kind of spit out by the other side. But it just felt like today, with everything we can do, and just emotionally, I mean, everything for me comes from the emotion. It's like, I want to see Kristen, you know, I want to see Erin rescue her best friend, since she has been the one who had left her originally. And so, yeah, it just felt like it was kind of, now it was the time to pull it off. So, and now with what we can do with the facts. And if you see this, well, actually you saw it here within the IMAX, the fact that we opened up the, you know, top and bottom. I have to do kudos out to Ed March, who also is the stereographer who does 3D for Jim Cameron, and he was in charge of this, and the stuff he did, I mean, with, you know, if you notice, you know, that 3D was coming out of the black lines. I mean, they made the decision to open that up, and it's unbelievable.
Hi, my name's Jeff also.
Jeff.
I had a ghost-specific question.
Yes.
Slimer didn't slime anybody. I was wondering if there was a reason, or if that was something that got cut, or...
No, it's just kind of the way we wrote him, and I guess it was, we just thought it'd be funnier if we stole their car for some reason. You know, it's weird, like you want to walk that line of like hitting things from the original to pay homage, but at the same time we want to make sure we weren't just like repeating beat for beat things. But we made it extra slimy, if you notice, it's very tricky, so thank you. Oh, thank you, Jeff. Yes, my vocal cameo was fantastic.
Hi, I'm Anthony. I thought it had like it was really funny, and I thought it had a higher like joke density than the original, like just the jokes just coming. And I was wondering if, in response to any of the internet fervor, if you added any jokes or reshot anything. It seemed like a couple of the lines were maybe in reference to that.
Well, I mean, the internet was hating us before we even wrote the script, so it was heavy. It was heavy in our brains, I have to say. Look, I never want to kind of give credence to it, but at the same time, I would be crazy, and Katie and I would be crazy not to admit that it wasn't going on, and so it was just fun to go like, okay, we took a couple of shots, we'll move past it, but like, I'm a lifelong nerd. I gotta hit the bullies occasionally.
My name is John.
Hey, John.
I drew the illustrated review of the movie where I started out as a man and then ended up.
Oh my God! Oh, John, you are amazing. This man's an amazing artist, by the way.
I feel like I can't thank you enough for the movie that we just saw, and the fact that you know, as you said, I'm an artist, I'm a writer. I've been writing on the high of just creativity that the original Ghostbusters and the cartoons injected into me as a little kid. And so to feel that again, when I saw the movie for the first time, it kind of just, like, this re-energization, like the whole point that I moved to Hollywood was to make movies and to do something, like, I wanted your job, I wanted to make a Ghostbusters, and I still do. The fact that you did it and it went so well, it's like, you brought it back, now I can really do it. I don't have to feel that pressure of like, if I get in there and I don't want to do this Ghostbusters 3 or whatever, but, I mean, it's just hugely inspiring, and I literally can't even thank you enough for that. But my question was, I've been wondering, like, were you just on the right wavelength or something, or if you actually watched the cartoon at all? Because there was a lot of stuff in there that wasn't necessarily a direct reference, but you could kind of look at it and be like, oh, I remember that from this one episode.
It's funny because a lot of people have kind of looked at that and thought we were really inspired by it. Honestly, I hate to admit this because I was 22 years old when the movie came out, so I was not kind of involved in the cartoons. I did see some of them, but I mean, honestly, the whole cake looks exactly like Spegler from, and I wish I could say I did that on purpose, but you're here to hear it right now. It had nothing to do with it. Literally, I went into the makeup trailer the first day we were going to do the test, and Kate was working with her hair person, and suddenly she was coming up with this crazy hairdo, and I was like, what are you doing? And then immediately went like, that's awesome. Okay, let's do that. And that was really, she kind of invented that look. So maybe she knew it. I don't know. But again, I hate to admit that I wasn't. There's one thing I had no idea about.
I have one more quick question. Yeah. Would you sign my copy of Ghost Movie Fast?
Yeah, I certainly will. Hang on right here, John. I'll do it right there. I'll do it right after this. Thanks, man.
And you guys probably have time for about 3 more questions, okay? So I'm sorry about that. But go ahead.
Hi, my name's actually Erin.
Oh,
Actually, I have one comment and one question.
Yeah.
My comment is, those special effects were amazing. I could not believe how well they were. So
thanks.
they were so great.
Credit a man named Pete Travers, and you saw that's why we have 7 minutes of credits, because there was 5 effects houses working on this all across the world.
They were
Thanks.
just great. Credit to them. Question is, you said you did audition the ladies, but did you audition Chris?
Who could audition Thor? Really? Chris, can you try this? No, Chris, the quick story behind that was we wrote this part for kind of like this slacker dude who kind of answered a thing off Craigslist and was no help in the office whatsoever. And I was like, oh, we'll get one of our comedy guys to do it. And then my agent happens to represent Chris, and he said one day, he said, Chris wouldn't want me to let you know that he would be happy to do something in Ghostbusters. And so Katie and I and Jesse Henderson, my producer, we looked at each other like, oh my God, will we get Thor to be their receptionist? And he did it. But here's the thing, he's like a perfect specimen of a human being. He's crazy. So you go like, okay, well he'll just be there. We'll write him jokes and maybe he can put them together. And so, he came to me the day before we did it, and he was like, I don't know, these women are so funny, and I don't do improv, and I know you do all this ad-libbing and stuff. I said, like, Chris, don't worry, we've got a million jokes for you, it'll be fun. He gets on the set, he improvised so much of that stuff. Mike Hat, that's him. Who came up with that? And the glasses thing was that he came in for his very first scene when he first enters, and his glasses were getting up bananas amounts of glare. I've seen the crew, I've seen lights, I've seen all this stuff. So I said, like, you know what? I said, take the glass out of his lenses, and nobody will know. So he gets in that scene, and he reaches through his and then we started riffing on that. So I mean, it's really, here's the injustice of life. A man can look like that, can be as talented as that, can dance like that, and he's fucking funny at the same time. I'm sorry, kids, I apologize. That's how passionate I am about
I have a few questions.
Yes.
There's another show coming. Other people are going to see it. So can you maybe limit it to one? Okay. What's your best question?
Okay. So if you ever have an idea to make the next movie, when they say Zool, who would be the best actor for Gozer? Because in the first movie there was Gozer, and but I think it would be a really good idea since Ghostbusters are girls.
Yes.
Probably you can make Gozer a boy. Swapping it around.
Nicely done. Yeah, see, yeah.
Who would be the best actor for that Gozer?
Wow, gosh. Are you available?
Oh, maybe.
There you go. I wouldn't even begin to guess, but my God, there's so many talented actors out there. I have to think about that, my friend. That is a great question, sir.
All right, so you're going to have a final question for Paul.
Everybody, sorry if you want to talk to me afterwards.
All right. Well, I want to say my name's Steve from Dallas, Texas.
Hey, Steve.
I came all the way up here for this.
Oh my God.
And I just want to say thank you so much. You don't understand how much this movie means to me. Like this, I'm about to cry right now.
Oh my God, you're making me cry.
When I saw Ghostbusters 2 in Philly, when I grew up and stuff, I went with my dad and stuff, and I'm not close to my dad anymore. So just going to like a premiere and seeing all this stuff just happening over again, it just brought back a lot of emotions. And this is like my second, one of my favorite Ghostbusters movies. Ever, besides.
Oh my God.
One, so.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So, the question I have is, where did you get the idea to do the balloons, the balloons, the Stay Puft balloon?
Oh, thanks. That's a great question. We had this thing. I knew I wanted to make New York turned into old New York, into sort of its weirdest points, or moments in history. And we were doing research, and we found pictures of balloons from the 1920s Macy's parades that were the creepiest things I've ever seen. Like, I mean, people back then, that's how we put it, that one line from Patty, like, you know, that's the creepy. Like, people were not disturbed by things like they would be now. And so those balloons are actual complete replications of, go online tonight, look up old Macy's balloon parade, parade balloons, whatever. And you will see those exact ones that they are.
That's so funny.
And can I also get a picture with you after you're done?
Of course, come on.
All right, friends, here is the inducement to actually have you leave the theater. There's, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't think I am, there is something outside for you all on your way out. But in order to get it, you have to actually go.
That's such a weird thing. Hey, Sam, before we close, just one more thing. I just want to say everybody here who's been so kind, this has been, whatever. This has been a really weird 2 years for me because there's been so much negativity against this project because of whatever reason. Thank you, sir. And I just gotta say, to have this kind of response and to have you guys embrace this like this, it honestly, this means the world to me. I say it very
All right, Paul's gonna be in the corner there, but the vast majority of you should go out because other people are coming in for the next show. I will say hi to Megan for you.